The following is an excerpt from tonight's brand new episode of the Geekvolution Radio Hour. Tonight, Vince and I will be airing back-to-back brand new episodes starting at 6 p.m. Central Time on the Supervillain Network. That's right, a brand new radio station, and we'll be airing every Wednesday night starting next week at 7 p.m. Central, but be sure to tune in an hour early tonight for, as I said, back-to-back episodes, so 2 full hours. We'll be talking first about practical versus visual effects with a little bit of news thrown in, and then the second hour we'll be talking about even more news, and we'll be talking about how Thanos fits into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and also tune in for Doomsvince's appearance at the end of each episode. Thanks for listening and watching, and we hope you'll tune in. Back to more trailer talk, Vince. When we did our first show of the Geekvolution Radio Hour, we found ourselves talking about nothing but trailers during the news portion for weeks on end, and we're kind of right back to that. So we've been on hiatus for 2 weeks, and naturally, all the really interesting stuff this year is starting to happen.
Hooray!
And we haven't had the opportunity to talk about it on the radio program, so we're going to do a little bit of it today. I've already covered the 2 major trailers, Batman vs. Superman and the Star Wars trailer on the channel, so today we're going to cover some stuff that we just haven't talked about on the channel, and obviously on the radio show. So we're going to start with the new Fantastic Four trailer, which is showing us quite a bit more, and I think maybe giving us a better sense of what the flavor of that movie might be. Vince, are you more or less excited than you were before, and does this look a little bit more like the Fantastic Four that you'll know and love?
Yeah, I think I'm pretty even on it. I mean, I always kind of like the idea of a football player being the Thing, but now we get this kind of more slender version of the Thing, which when he turns into the monster, he's still giant.
He just looks like the Thing, yeah.
So I was kind of wondering, like, I guess I don't necessarily need everybody to be young, but it's okay. I'm not more or less excited. I'm about neutral. It could be a good movie. And I have no idea. I think the thing that's going to clinch it for me is what they do with Doom, because Doom is the only thing we don't get a sense of what's going on with him.
Yeah, we just see the costume.
So we just...
And he looks like Doom.
He's a metal-faced guy in a green robe, so...
I have heard from people, and I haven't looked real deep into this project, Vince. I'm mostly just going off trailers, but I have heard people say, anyway, here is neither here nor there rumor mill territory, that Doom is, or maybe they've come out and told us in other things, but that Doom is supposed to have powers just like he did in the other ones, and I want to say Ultimate Doom had powers.
Yep.
Is it true, looking at this trailer, Vince, that a lot of what we're seeing here looks like it came out of Ultimate?
I mean, to some extent, yeah, that's true. I mean, in the Ultimate stuff, they try to cross dimensions, and essentially they cross into the negative zone, and then they get their powers that way. And it looks like in this movie, that's basically what's going to happen, because we essentially, for those of you who haven't seen the trailer, I mean, if you haven't seen it, go watch it, but the trailer shows them crossing into another dimension. They flat out say that these guys are pioneers in interdimensional travel. So they cross into another dimension, something happens in that dimension, and then obviously they get powers as a result. And they call it symptoms, and they say he's looking for a way to cure his friend. So it's very classic origin story Fantastic Four stuff with the at least the spirit of it. So we'll see what the major conflict is, and if the major conflict is that they just get powers, that's
we've
lame.
been there and done that on film before. Yeah,
I mean, that's one reason a lot of people hate the first one.
Well, and to be fair, that wasn't even a conflict there. It was pretty much just we have powers, and the novelty is, hey, look, we have powers, and it's not even. I mean, there's conflict with the Thing because, of course, for obvious reasons, he doesn't want to be the Thing. But I think it's interesting that in that movie, Mr. Fantastic wants to cure the Thing, but there's really no talk about curing the other two, even though, and of course, the Human Torch really likes being the Human Torch, but I think the Invisible Woman would have been happy to have been cured as well.
Yeah, she may have. And, I mean, that was the thing, is that when she had to strip to use her powers, I think she would not have minded being cured. Yeah. Because then there would be no expectation for her to use it.
Of course, once she learns how to use it, maybe she wouldn't care after that. But
yeah, I would say by the second movie, she's probably okay.
By the second movie, especially, yeah. but anyway, so you're just talking about this real quick. The things I latched onto most were twofold. One, I am very excited about the actor playing the Storm's father. He was my favorite character in House of Cards. I guess still is. I guess he's still in that show. And he plays Freddie, the guy who runs the barbecue joint, and who owns the barbecue joint. And I love that actor. I think he's fantastic, and I think doing something with multiple generations of Storms is kind of exciting new territory. And I mean, I don't know if anything's ever been done with their parents in the comics before.
In the Ultimate one, they...
Oh, okay, all right.
The Storm parents were kind of the front runners of the Baxter Building, and they...
Oh, wow, okay. So it sounds like they're drawing heavily from that material.
They are drawing pretty heavily from it. So, I mean, even the idea that Doom is a guy with electricity powers comes from the Ultimate stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with it because I've seen it done before, and as long as we don't just dwell on the origin, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, and that's the big hope, is that there's, actually a story there. This is a thing that would be sort of like Incredible Hulk. Would be really easy to just do the origin in opening credits or something and move on and tell a story. But if this is about we're trying to explore alternate dimensions, doing pushing the boundaries of science, and we go too far and we do that kind of classic story. Now we're paying for it, and maybe we can turn a positive into or negative into a positive or whatever. It could negative zone. There might be a thing there, but
the positive zone. That's a weird place.
Yeah, that might be where we are already. I guess it depends on if you're a glass half full kind of person and you like the dimension you live in. But anyway, I don't know. I don't have any reason to be freaking out and being like, oh God, this is so against what I like about Fantastic Four. And also, it doesn't look too dark yet. There's been that first trailer, it seemed like they were kind of pushing the hey, look, this is an edgier version of it. I'm not getting that vibe from it anymore. It kind of, it's a darker color palette and stuff like that, but there's levity there I kind of didn't expect.
Yeah,
and that's exciting to me.
It's kind of heavy in tone. But that doesn't mean that it has to be unrelentingly negative.
Yeah, it looks but I would make the argument that the last ones we had were maybe unrelentingly positive, but maybe positive is not the right word, maybe just cheesy. But then that wasn't actually come to think of it, though, of course that wasn't even really my main problem with them, you know what I mean? Yeah. It was more characterization stuff. It was more making Susan Storm really, really typical in the way she dealt with her relationship, with her romantic relationship and stuff like that. Maybe we can have something a little bit more mature here, and I feel like Josh Trank has proven before that he to some degree at least can understand how people fit together. So,
well, I think that was part of the problem with the original Fantastic Four comic book version format, is that they were all pretty archetypal and intended to be so.
Right.
So when you get to these movies and then they try to adapt it, they basically rewrite the first issue into a movie, and there's not a complete story there. It's just, this is how it started.
I'm hearing some people kind of lightening up a little bit more about this movie that were really worried about it before, and now I'm very curious to see if it performs. I think it has potential. I don't think it'll do gangbusters.
Yeah.
But I think it might do okay.
I think the end of it, they'll say, tune in next time when Fox keeps the rights.
Yeah, having my cake and eating it too would be, this movie is great and bombs. That's what I want. I want a movie that's awful, but I want a movie that rocks my socks off, that I can really enjoy as its own piece and don't need sequels where it's just a setup movie. Mm-hmm. And then it sucks eggs at the box office and these characters can revert back to Marvel so that I can have Galactus there. But I say that every time we talk about it. Real quick, I want to also talk about the new Jurassic World trailer. It's the third trailer, and there was enough new material I felt like maybe we should speak about it real quick. So, I hate to say I told you so, but I told you so.
You did.
About the Raptors. It turns out that Chris Pratt is working with the Raptors.
It looks like he's hanging from the Raptors.
But anyway, so the themes are becoming really, really clear with this movie, and it's really obvious, or at least it seems pretty obvious that it's not going to be a real deep movie. It's going to be a fun kind of popcorn thing, with just like the original was, with maybe some cautionary stuff about going too far with trying to control nature. I think the potential for using nature from the thing that you made that you shouldn't have made in the first place, but you finally tamed it, and understanding the nature of that and then fighting against this new thing is potentially interesting.
Yeah, I think it's, obviously it's a tale about ambition, trying too much to make too much, but just to echo some of the stuff you're saying here, but I like the idea of
and your standard anti-corporate stuff.
Yeah. I think it's going to be kind of a fun monster movie.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is that with some of those Jurassic Park movies, they were trying to be monster movies, but we had kind of a generalized monster. Now we have an actual one singular monster that seems to be worse than all the rest. So it's kind of interesting to see, I think it will be interesting to see what the biggest threat is.
Some people are saying, "Oh man, it's so stupid that they're making a new dinosaur," and I think that's part of the point, is how stupid that is. You know, you get a big giant corporation like this that gets really out of touch and just keeps trying to go bigger and bigger and bigger. And there's maybe even a metaphor about Hollywood there. There's some. We could even be talking about the medium that we're dealing in a little bit. If we read too far into it.
Introspective movie,
maybe, or maybe it'll just be a thing that'll be really easy to read into that's not really there. But
so the raptors represent the corporate moguls. They eat things, but they can be directed.
Yeah, that's really interesting. My big thing with this trailer is two things. First of all, I hope to God the kids aren't irritating. I feel like we've got kids just because the original had kids and it's a theme park, and I'm like, I don't know.
I kind of hope the kids get eaten.
I hope they're. Could happen. It could. But the other thing I'm thinking is just that I hope that we get to spend some actual time in the park.
Yeah.
Before all hell breaks loose. I want to just explore that place and see what it's like. I want it to be cool enough and there long enough for us to get a really, really cool, solid video game based on it. Or maybe an actual theme park with animatronic dinosaurs down the line.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.